You ever come home expecting a quiet afternoon and instead find your whole life flipped upside down? 6 hours, that's all I was gone, just enough time for a burger and a milkshake and a supply run in town, and somehow in that little window my private road had been hijacked. I'm talking full steel barricade, keypad lock shiny, HOA logo, the works. Some dude I'd never seen before grinning like he'd won the lottery, telling me that I couldn't drive up to my own house. Yeah, that was their first mistake, thinking I'd just roll over and let it happen. Second mistake, underestimating what a stubborn old Oregon landowner can do when you back him into a corner. Now look, I'm not saying I'm perfect. My mistake that day was taking my sweet time soaking in the sun, jawing with the waitress at McGregor's, not rushing home. Because if I'd shown up even an hour sooner, I probably would have caught these guys wet-setting the posts, and maybe none of what followed would have gone down. But no, I got there right as the concrete was hardening, the sign zip-tied right in the middle of the gate, declaring my road critical infrastructure, restricted entry Maple Heights HOA, authorized vehicles only. For a second, I thought I was seeing things. But that sign was real, all right, and it was bolted right into the ground that my granddad deeded to us back in '68. This land wasn't just private, it was sovereign, and the HOA didn't have a damn thing to do with it. So I get out, run my hand along the weld, still warm, when out strolls this clipboard cowboy, mid-30s, reflective vest, holding a tablet like it's the Holy Grail. Doesn't even bother with hello, just you can't be here. I tell him he's got it backwards. He points at the sign, starts reciting HOA, Phase 1 expansion nonsense, talking about utility, right-of-way, and certified letters. Buddy, I told him, you're not just trespassing, you're blocking my only way home. And unless you can show me a badge or a court order, you'd better step aside. He kept spitting out lines, something about submitting a request to the compliance board. I got back in my truck, reverse floored it crash. The whole gate folded like a soda can, sparks flying, concrete busting up. I drove right over the wreckage, parked, and told the clipboard warrior I've seen this in movies. Figured I'd try it out. Maybe a little dramatic, but sometimes you have to send a message. Inside, first thing I do is fire up my surveillance, military grade, not your average home security. I cataloged everything, the gate, the install, the guy's face, the HOA branding, called my lawyer. Meredith told her, "You won't believe what these jokers just did." She just sighed. "How long you need me angry?" I said. "Couple days at least." She started the paper trail and told me to get ready, odds or they'd try to escalate. Next morning, what do I see on the cameras but a gaggle of orange vests tromping all over my land? Survey crews, flags, measuring wheels, one dude flying a drone. I'm not confrontational by nature, but I'm also not letting 6 strangers stake up my forest like it's some future HOA golf course. I walked out rifle slung, not loaded, and asked them, "Mind telling me what you're doing?" Some guy starts rattling off regional connectivity initiative and fire access. Another mumbles about preliminary jurisdictional maps. I almost laughed. "Which board yours? You have no say out here." They tried to act tough until I pointed out the FAA drone violation, illegal flags, and reminded them I had everything on camera. Here's the twist: one of them accused me of invalidating my peaceful ownership by wrecking the gate. That's when it clicked. These guys were coached. Somebody was feeding them lines, hoping I'd snap, maybe catch something on tape that would turn the tables. So I walked back to the cabin, called Meredith again. She just groaned. "They're baiting you. Don't give them what they want." I told her, "Relax, I'm documenting everything." That afternoon, I hired Dale, a real-deal surveyor, former Forest Service. We walked the property lines, matched everything to state records, took photos, GPS logs, flagged every point they'd intruded. By sundown, I had enough evidence to write my own legal drama, uploaded it all to the cloud, and sent backups to Meredith. But this thing didn't slow down. Later that week, I spotted someone on camera at midnight mounting a motion sensor cam to one of my pines. 3 days later, a thick envelope lands on my doorstep. Civil complaint, Maple Heights HOA versus Russell Lambert. I mean the stuff they accused me of: aggression, obstruction, emotional distress. If you believe them, you'd think I burned down their whole subdivision. I called Meredith, read it out loud. She laughed so hard I thought she'd choke on her cereal. Thing is, these people weren't just trying to claim a little ground. They were building a case to seize my land through temporary administrative oversight, legalese for, let the HOA babysit the land until the court figures it out. So we hit back hard, motion to dismiss declaratory relief and a counterclaim for trespass, and malicious prosecution. Meredith didn't play. She subpoenaed their development plan, demanded board votes, any county approvals. What we got back was a 5-page joke typos, Google Maps screenshots, clip art bulldozers, a suggested fire access path scrawled in Comic Sans. Turns out the whole thing was made up, filed weeks after. I'd already trashed their gate. We amended our counterclaim: fraud, misrepresentation, abuse of process. I put up new signs: private land, court protected, federal surveillance in use. Okay, not quite true, but it scared them. They came by to take pictures. I waved and pointed at my real cameras up in the trees. But things went next level weird when I started finding more hidden trail cams. Good ones, military grade, stashed all over my property, pointed right at the cabin, the shed, the fire pit, everywhere I lived and worked. Somebody wanted to watch my every move. I boxed up the SD cards and called in an old Army buddy, Duncan, who put me in touch with a top-shelf security consultant. We traced the cams to a Blue Ridge land surveying billing address, matched the HOA's favorite contractor. And guess who signed for it? Karen Drake, queen of the Maple Heights HOA. They wanted evidence, anything to paint me as unstable or hostile. Meredith went nuclear criminal complaint to the county citing unauthorized surveillance, invasion of privacy. The DA took one look and said, "This is criminal conspiracy. We're opening a file." That's about when I pulled up the county GIS map and noticed out of nowhere a brand new public safety corridor cutting through my land dated 10 days prior. Dig a little. And what do you know? The application was filed by a county clerk who just happened to be Karen's niece's husband. Nepotism and fraud, all to make their little fantasy look official. I called Meredith, she called the county integrity officer, and suddenly we're in an emergency meeting, laying out fake maps, contract invoices, and every shady connection. They panicked. County launched an investigation. I got 2 old neighbors to give sworn statements about the original boundaries, flew my own drone to map the lines, and set up a giant LED sign at the property edge. This is not a public easement. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Didn't take long before someone spray-painted "Community Comes First" over my sign. Cute. A couple nights later, I'm watching the monitors and see 3 figures moving through the dark, heading for my utility shed. Didn't even think, just grabbed the shotgun, hit the floodlights, and barked out a warning over the PA. 2 bolted. 1 dove under the deck, turns out HOA volunteer trying to snip my surveillance lines. By sunrise, sheriffs got him in cuffs, and the footage is up on my blog for the world to see. Local news catches wind by dinner. The whole county's talking about the HOA sabotage and the sketchy land grab. Then the hammer drops. Meredith finds emails connecting the HOA president, Karen, directly to every move, the gate, the survey flags, the break-in. A board member, Flips, testifies that the whole scheme was aimed at making my land too much trouble to keep. County prosecutor files charges: trespass, fraud, harassment, forgery, and more. Court day comes, packed house, everyone from local ranchers to reporters. The judge doesn't pull punches, calls it one of the most egregious examples of property rights violations he's ever seen. HOA's arguments get shut down. By lunch, ruling comes and Karen's convicted. 2 board members banned for life, HOA fined over $600,000, and every inch of my land restored for good. Best part, Karen's let out in cuffs while the whole courtroom stands and cheers. I just winked at her as she glared back, and that was that. Now you'd think it ends there, right? Not a chance. I reinforced my gate, put up a new sign: "Trespassers will be featured in my next book." Video series took off. Book's almost done. And Karen, She's got plenty of time to read it. But hey, that's just me. Folks, let me ask you, was I right to go scorched earth, or should I have tried to cooperate and trust the system? Where's the line between standing your ground and starting a war in your own backyard? Drop your take below. I've got popcorn and a steel gate waiting.